Hey everybody, Alan here. Thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of the PT on Ice Daily Show. Before we get started, I'd love to take a second to highlight our show sponsor, Jane. If you don't know about Jane, Jane is a complete practice management software designed to help practitioners grow and manage their practices. They do this with very helpful features like integrated online booking and scheduling, billing, and charting all inside of one piece of software. Whether you're a solo practitioner or working in a large multidisciplinary practice, no-shows and late cancellations are something that every practitioner faces. Jane does offer several tools to help you prevent and manage those no-shows, including the ability to save a credit card on file and send out unlimited free text and email reminders to patients. Learn more about Jane's helpful features at jane.app/physicaltherapy, where you can mention the code ICEPT1MO at the time of sign up for a 1-month grace period applied to your new Jane account. Enjoy today's show.
Good morning, PT on Ice podcast, and happy Monday. I am having some issues getting my camera to work on my YouTube, so if that's how you typically watch this, I apologize. I'm going to try to get that figured out when we are done. My name is Dr. Jessica Gingrich. I'm one of the teaching assistants for the pregnancy and postpartum division here at ICE. Before we dive into why I am thankful for my period, I wanted to go over some course opportunities. We have 2 courses, an 8-week online and a 2-day live course. During the 2-day live course, you'll learn the internal pelvic floor exam in supine and in standing. The standing is wildly informative, especially for the person who is symptomatic in functional positions, which is everyone. And then bridging that all together with return to exercise, including running, jumping, gymnastics, skills like pull-ups, rope climbs, muscle-ups, toes to bar, and then finally barbell work. If any of these courses speak to you, head over to ptonice.com to sign up. I heard it first from ICE faculty Alex Germano. I am thankful for my period. Alex and her partner in crime, Julie Brower, were here a few weekends ago teaching the modern management of the older adult, which, by the way, is a fabulous course if you haven't had a chance to take it. I was lucky enough to have some time after the course to show Alex around downtown Greenville. And as we sat in an old French coffee and pastry cafe following that fabulous that course, we sat and we talked about everything. We talked about our dogs, our husbands, our jobs, baby Emerson. We talked about sex. We talked about pregnancy, birth, and of course, our periods. If you don't have someone to talk to about this, it can be wildly helpful. We talked about the lack of education now as adults we feel regarding our menstrual cycles, sex, how to orgasm, kind of like you do when you're with your best friend sitting in your college dorm. We were so excited that we could relate to each other, ease each other's fears, or how we've questioned ourselves for so long. We knew these barriers continue to exist, and that was made true by an older gentleman who was sitting at the table next to us with his coffee, and he stood up and moved 3 tables down. It was like he didn't want to hear about vaginas, periods, orgasms, or birth anymore, so we just looked at each other and laughed. I thought to myself later that night, what a wonderful person to have in my life. If you're looking at something that has been deemed gross, embarrassing, something you shouldn't even talk about, my whole life, I've been trying to change this narrative for women that come into my clinic, but for all of us as PTs, male or female, if we can get comfortable asking about menstrual cycles and informed about what's normal versus abnormal, we're going to influence a lot of women and girls in this space. This can be such a powerful thing, especially if we feel comfortable talking about it. We can maybe get our clients to feel comfortable talking about it. The normalcy of menstrual cycles will come on a different Monday. Today we are going to talk about the two hormones that are massive, ones that you've probably heard about. So what most girls, women, and even men don't know is that having a period is more than just bleeding every month. It's more than just shedding the lining of your uterus. We often get annoyed when it shows up, but what we need to know is that it is a sign that our body is cycling hormones well. And those hormones are important for reproductive health, but they're also important and act on other parts of our bodies. So let's talk about that first, the menstrual cycle first. So we have the follicular phase. This phase starts on the first day of your period. So when you start to bleed and last about 13 to 14 days until ovulation begins. In this phase, estrogen and progesterone are low. When ovulation starts, estrogen rises and progesterone stays low. In the luteal phase, this one is next. This begins around 15 days and ends when you get your period. During this time, you have a surge in estrogen and progesterone. When progesterone is at its highest, this may be what contributes to the feeling of fatigue and irritability. These days and symptoms are not the same for every girl or woman. So the timelines can look different. They can also look different depending on nutrition and sleep and all those other lifestyle factors that may need to be dialed in. The hormones that fluctuate during your cycle are estrogen, progesterone, luteinizing hormone, FSH, and testosterone. For today, we are going to talk about the two hormones that we hear about the most, estrogen and progesterone. If you are on birth control, these are usually the hormones that are predominant in those hormonal-based birth controls. Estrogen influences our memory, our libido, so our sex drives. It can regulate cholesterol, breast growth, increases our bone density and strength. That's huge. Prepares our uterus and ovaries for ovulation and pregnancy, and even influences our skin. Progesterone helps fight against breast and endometrial cancers, restores vascular tone, normalizes blood clots, lowers blood pressure, increases anti-inflammatory agents, and helps use fat for energy. How cool is that? Not only do these hormones support reproductive health, that's cool enough anyway, they also support so much more. So the next time you get your period or you have a loved one talking about their period, celebrate with them. Teach them about these wonderful hormones and how they act on our bodies. Next time you get your period, say to yourself that you're so thankful. Change your mindset around it. All right, another PT on Ice podcast in the books. Until next time, go crush your week.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.